Welcome back to Luxury Auto One, the channel where we bring you the most shocking, jaw-dropping, and downright unbelievable political and celebrity moments you won't find anywhere else. If you think you've seen drama before, you haven't seen anything yet. Because today, we're diving into a confrontation that stunned political insiders, electrified social media, and left millions speechless. This is the moment when Ivanka Trump called Representative Jasmine Crockett unfit on national television. Only for Crockett to unleash a recording so powerful, it flipped the entire conversation upside down. Our story begins in early 2025, during a nationally televised panel discussion hosted in Washington, D.C., designed to address the rising tensions between prominent political figures over issues of policy, ethics, and personal conduct. The event was already highly anticipated. Viewers were tuning in from around the world, eager to see how the conversation would unfold between the poised, business-savvy former First Daughter Ivanka Trump and the fiery, unapologetic Congresswoman from Texas, Jasmine Crockett. At the start, the tone seemed cordial. Both women exchanged professional greetings, their smiles polite but noticeably strained. The moderator, clearly aware of the tension, tried to set the stage for a constructive dialogue. But beneath the surface, it was clear these two were ready for a verbal clash. About 20 minutes into the discussion, the conversation shifted toward leadership qualifications and moral integrity in public service. Ivanka, her voice measured yet sharp, turned directly toward Jasmine Crockett and said, "Congresswoman, with all due respect, I think your record shows you are unfit to lead on the issues that matter most to Americans." The audience gasped. Some gasped from shock, others from anticipation. This was exactly the kind of direct hit they were waiting for. Ivanka didn't stop there. She began listing what she claimed were examples of Crockett's reckless conduct and partisan grandstanding, framing her as someone more interested in making headlines than getting results. Leadership is about uniting people, not tearing them apart. Ivanka continued, her tone firm but calm. "And I've seen nothing from you that convinces me you can do that." Jasmine Crockett sat still for a moment, her expression unreadable. But her eyes told a different story, focused, calculating, and, if you looked closely, almost amused. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady and deliberate. "Miss Trump," she began, "you just called me unfit, and you're entitled to your opinion. But opinions can change when the truth comes out." The room fell silent. Even the moderator leaned forward, sensing something big was about to happen. Crockett reached into her bag and pulled out a small digital recorder. She held it up so everyone could see. "Before we go any further," she said, "I think it's only fair the American people hear something they were never supposed to hear." The audience shifted in their seats. Cameras zoomed in. Ivanka's composed smile began to tighten. Crockett pressed play. Suddenly, the room was filled with the sound of voices. Two people in what sounded like a private meeting. One voice was unmistakably Ivanka Trump's. In the recording, she was heard making statements that directly contradicted the points she had just made about unity and leadership. The conversation revealed private remarks that painted a picture of political strategy rooted in personal gain rather than national interest. It wasn't illegal, but it was damning in the court of public opinion. As the recording played, you could see the color drain slightly from Ivanka's face. She tried to maintain her composure, but her eyes darted toward the moderator, as if silently asking for the audio to be cut off. The moderator, however, didn't intervene. This was live television, and the ratings were probably skyrocketing. The audience reaction was explosive. Audible gasps, murmurs, and even a few cheers filled the room. Social media lit up instantly. Hashtags like hashtag Crockett versus Ivanka, hashtag unfit or unmasked, and hashtag mic drop moment began trending within minutes. When the recording ended, Crockett set the device down on the table and looked directly at Ivanka. "I've been called a lot of things in my career," she said, her tone unshaken. "But what I won't be called is unfit by someone who privately admits to undermining the very principles they preach in public. The American people deserve authenticity. They deserve honesty. And they deserve leaders who don't say one thing in the spotlight and another behind closed doors." Ivanka, visibly rattled but unwilling to concede, adjusted her microphone. "That recording," she began, "was taken completely out of context. The conversation was about political realities, not personal beliefs, and I stand by my record of service to this country." Her voice was firmer now, but there was a noticeable edge, an uncharacteristic crack in her usual calm delivery. The moderator attempted to steer the conversation back to policy, but the damage was done. The panel had shifted from a debate to a full-blown political spectacle. News outlets across the country replayed the clip on loop. Pundits dissected every word, every glance, every micro-expression. One side hailed Crockett as a hero for exposing hypocrisy. The other accused her of staging an ambush. After the event, reporters swarmed both women. Crockett, surrounded by flashing cameras and microphones, doubled down on her message. "If you want to lead," she told the press, "you have to lead with truth. The public deserves nothing less." Her supporters echoed her sentiment, praising her courage for confronting someone with the political clout of Ivanka Trump. Ivanka's camp, meanwhile, issued a statement later that evening. It condemned what they called a deliberate distortion of a private conversation, claiming Crockett's actions were a calculated political attack meant to mislead the public. The statement emphasized Ivanka's commitment to her vision for America and her belief that real leadership sometimes requires tough conversations behind the scenes. As the hours passed, the clash took on a life of its own online. Political commentators debated its implications. Some argued that Crockett's move was brilliant, a surgical strike exposing double standards in politics. Others claimed it was underhanded, setting a dangerous precedent for using private conversations as weapons in public debates. But one thing was undeniable. The moment had catapulted Crockett into the national spotlight like never before. Overnight, she went from being a rising star in Congress to a household name. Her social media following exploded, and donations to her campaign surged. In the following days, the story continued to dominate headlines. Interviews with body language experts broke down every subtle reaction from both women during the confrontation. Late-night hosts turned it into comedy gold, with skits reenacting the scene, exaggerating Ivanka's reaction and Crockett's dramatic reveal. Political strategists privately admitted that the incident could have long-term consequences. For Ivanka, it was a rare public stumble, a moment where her carefully curated image took a visible hit. For Crockett, it was a gamble that paid off in spades, solidifying her reputation as someone who doesn't back down, even against the most powerful opponents. As more context about the recording emerged, the debate over its meaning and fairness only deepened. The conversation wasn't just about two women clashing on television.